say, every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you.
Hello viewers, and welcome to another exciting edition of your program Corruption Must Go. I am your host, Murna Barnabas Atiai. Section 37 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000 gives ICPC the statutory power to seize stolen assets. Armed by this law, the Commission in November 2011 established the Asset Tracing, Recovery and Management Unit to trace and seize assets of suspects through the use of both conviction and non-conviction based procedures. The unit has since grown to become a department headed by a director, and their work is pivotal to the overall fight against corruption. Today, we shall look at the work of asset tracing, recovery and management as done by ICPC, new trends and the journey so far in assets recovery. But first, let us join Ruth Awodi as she brings us anti-corruption stories after this time out.
Segment and anti-corruption stories. I am Ruth Awodi. The chairman of ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owasonye, SAN, has called on the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, to incorporate trainings on understanding illicit financial flows, IFFs, and money laundering in its training program for the National Judicial Institute, NJI. Professor Owasonye made the call at the ICPC headquarters while playing host to the officials of CIBN who were at the Commission on a courtesy call recently. He revealed to the team that the Commission had a similar collaboration with the NJI for regular sessions on the technicalities of IFFs, which were perpetrated through tax evasion, transfer pricing, trade misinvoicing, over-invoicing, under-invoicing, etc.
So we're quite happy when we have an institution that is sensitized and sensitive to these challenges, and wants to also include, I hope, in your capacity building, whatever, beyond teaching KYC principles and stuff like that. I know the KYC is so obvious that even the blind will see it, but we have banks that help people open accounts in the name of institutions, and the account is known only to a few people and the bank or the officers of the bank who have done this.
Earlier in his opening remarks, President of CIBN, Dr. Bayo Olubemi, said that the purpose of their visit was to explore possible areas of collaboration with ICPC regarding the banking industry saddled with the responsibility of training and certifying bankers in Nigeria and ensuring ethical behavior and professionalism in the industry. Dr. Olubemi solicited the support of ICPC for the proposed amendment of the CIBN Act 2000 to enhance the power of disciplinary tribunal to discipline erring bankers, amongst others.
We are today to ask for support and collaboration in the following areas. One, we want to collaborate with you on special training programs for the ministries, departments, and agencies, both at the federal and state level. For example, this year we make the 21st year, where we have been having the yearly annual judges conference. And of course, I'm sure Prof has participated in one or two before. and the Chief Justice of Nigeria is always there as the chair at the opening ceremony, and at times some of them do stay for a few hours with us. And of course, judges are always selected or nominated from various state courts and federal courts to participate in that. So the next one will be coming up later this year when the time comes. We'll be very happy to have ICPC represented. We want to also ask for the support of ICPC for the proposed amendment of the CIBN Act 5 of 2007 to enhance the power of the disciplinary tribunal to discipline early bankers, among others.
The CIBN applauded the Commission on its effort in combating corruption through assets recovery, establishment of anti-corruption and transparency units, ACTUs, in ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, and the publishing of 3 volumes of the ICPC law reports. In another development, ICPC Chairman Professor Bolaji Owasonye, SAN, has commended the Nigeria Export Processing Zones Authority, NEPZA, for their role in Nigeria's development and for supporting the work of the Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit, ACTU, of the agency. Professor Owasonye gave the commendation while receiving the Managing Director, CEO of the agency, Professor Adesoji Adesuba, and his delegation in his office recently.
I understand with due respect and without prejudice to all of the efforts, and I hope you succeed in your tenure. I'm very skeptical about the success of a number of these initiatives without the political will to stamp out completely the things that undermine the facilitation of investment. So we have all the templates, but we're not attracting as much as we ought, basically. We're not attracting as much as we ought. But that notwithstanding, export processing zones, including the ones that we are pretending at the moment, they play a critical role, and I think you are quite right that the chicken came home to roost with COVID-19. Because everybody was locked up in their own country, nobody could go anywhere. So suddenly the idiom, as you make your bed, so you lie on it, became a stark reality. So even if you have all the money in the world, you can't leave the country. Nobody is flying anywhere. So we have to fix the medical sector, basically. We have to fix it. Nobody else will fix it. And the other thing, of course, which you, I'm sure, are aware of, is at the end of the day, it is our own effort that will build our economy. There is no example of any economy that has been built with support from outside. It's not.
The ICPC chairman pointed out that ACTUs were established to help strengthen the prevention of corruption in all government agencies and to also serve as the eyes and ears of ICPC in those agencies. Earlier, the managing director, CEO of NEPZA, Professor Adesuba, stated that his visit to ICPC was to seek collaboration in the fight against corruption, adding that it was necessary to deal with the cankerworm of corruption and ensure that things are done properly within the law so as to deepen the economy. He thanked the chairman for setting up ACTUs, saying that the unit had helped in the development of processes that ensure that things were done properly and transparently.
I also want to seek your continued support of empowerment, continued support for people trained by you, and also to seek for further training of our officials in effectively managing the setup called ACT. When I came, it was just barely by name. It was just operating in the headquarters. But now, I'm happy to say that I've extended it to both Lagos and Calabar, as well as can. So I'm trying to integrate the culture straight into the whole process. Like I teach the factors that bring about continued investment. That is what NEBSA is trying to do. Attract investments into the zones, both from outside and inside the country, especially because we need to be more competitive. To be more competitive, we have to deal with such cankerworms as corruption, which also increases the price of goods that we produce. Because of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which is coming, so all hands must be seen, must be on deck, and must be seen to be on deck to ensure that Nigeria does not lose. I'm not going to take much of your time. In essence, this is a call to all those who we here that are listed here. They have a clear collaboration with your office with respect to fight against corruption. Also to ensure that those people who will be doing business with NEBSA, especially the contractors out there who will be procuring the projects and all that, will ensure that they do things the right way.
The MD therefore sought the support of ICPC for further training of its staff on the operations of Act 2. That would be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Corruption leads to the depletion of a nation's tangible and intangible assets, thereby eroding the trust of the citizens in the public sector to act in their best interest. Basic amenities such as accessible roads, clean water, housing, healthcare, quality education, etc. become like a mirage to citizens when corruption thrives and assets are filtered away. When the corrupt are caught and charged to court, the matter could linger for years, largely due to the complexity of our judicial process. Meanwhile, the corrupt persons would be enjoying the proceeds of their crime and in some cases even start selling off the properties they had illegally acquired. The essence of asset tracing and recovery, therefore, is to deny the corrupt the liberty of enjoying the proceeds of their corrupt acts at the expense of the citizens. Our crew spoke with the Director of Asset Tracing and Recovery Department of ICPC, Mr. Kayode Adedayo, who told us about new realities in the world of asset tracing.
As a strong immune system increases the chances of victims surviving COVID-19, a corruption-free society creates opportunities for citizens to thrive and prosper. Build your immunity. Stop corruption now. Report all acts of corruption to ICPC on this toll-free number 0800 2255 4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
Well, the new reality of asset tracing is remove the benefits of abuse of office, remove the benefits of corruption, remove the benefits of abuse of process from any perpetrator. Go after the asset, not really after the man. Can go after the man later. While the case is on, they're able to run through the prosecution with that, and they also use to corrupt the system. But with this new reality, you go after the asset, deprive them of the benefits of this asset, strip them naked, if you permit me to use the word, strip them off from the benefits of this, and then they can face other things later. It's also similar, I'm very happy to this naming and shaming, because the public knew that this asset used to belong to you, and they suddenly see, keep off ICPC, Nobody wants to buy from you. Nobody wants to transact with you. So you discover that you already brought your ridicule, and then you are careful. So it's about stripping the corrupt officers or anybody who abuses privileged office, who abuse processes or abuse policy, strip him of the benefits that he has acquired. And two, we return this back to the victim. When you return back to the victim, the people who needed to have benefited originally can now have the full benefit of it. It could be a community, it could be an individual, and largely the federal government of Nigeria. And I'm sure that you know that when the federal government of Nigeria is the victim, then all of us are the victim. It's you and her, the hospital that is not completed, the pothole that you drive in, the good school that your children in Nigeria cannot attend. That is what we all suffer in the hands of these corrupt elements. So with asset recovery, we dispossess them of the benefit of this, and it's returned for the benefit of the public.
Welcome back. You're still watching Corruption Must Go, a production of the Public Enlightenment Department of ICPC. How does asset tracing and recovery aid the fight against corruption? How has ICPC fared in its asset recovery drive? And I am sure you would like to know how ICPC manages seized assets. Mr. Kayode answers these questions and more.
Now, asset fighting, asset tracing, asset recovery, and asset management hate the fight of corruption in this clear way. Maybe I should help you by telling you the 5 stages of asset tracing, recovery, and management. It begins from investigation, and we call it asset investigation. In the course of asset investigation, the source of the money is investigated. And it's on that basis that we can trace that a man must have abused his office or must have used his office to a corrupt advantage. Follow the money. How is it layered? How is it converted? And then what are the things that the asset is used to acquire? It could be houses, it could be ornaments, it could be jewelries, it could be cars, it could be land, it could be anything. Or it could even have been transferred and laundered abroad. You trace the money. When you are able to trace the money, what's the next thing? Recovery. And recovery is of 2 processes: the legal process of recovery and then the physical recovery. The physical process of recovery is when the houses are marked, and when it's marked, you put a signpost, you put a signboard there, and it alerts anybody. So at that point in time, it's no longer in the hand of the corrupt element anymore. And then when you talk about the management of this asset, it talks about what we do in the holding. We here have been able to classify our asset recovery into 3 basic processes. Asset seizure, which is by the power of the Honorable Chairman as enshrined in the ICPC Act. Then interim forfeiture, which is by order of court, and then final forfeiture. Now, when an asset is under investigation, we seize by virtue of the power of the chairman. And then when we are able to establish a prima facie case against that asset, we take it to the court. So why the court process is going on? It's at the final forfeiture stage that these assets are now reverted to the Interministerial Committee on Disposal of Federal Government Forfeited Assets. This committee is situated in the Federal Ministry of Justice and is a committee that comprises of members of all asset recovery agencies. The committee is saddled with the responsibility of disposing assets that are forfeited to the federal government. The commissioner has achieved a lot, so much in the area of asset recovery. On the last count, this commissioner has recovered 82.57 billion worth of assets for the federal government. This year alone, you will be surprised if I give you the figure that we have recovered for this current year. For this current year, we have recovered about 189 million naira in cash, including several other properties. 6 vehicles, 1 building, 1 plot of land, 6 electronics. We have recovered clothing materials, businesses, and all these are just there. Now, this was just for a month of April alone. But between January and April, I must tell you, 7 vehicles has been recovered between January and April. And between January and April, 30 buildings have been recovered by this commission. Between January and April, 6 different plots of land are in the hands of the commission. And so many other things. So between January and April, the cash recovery alone is 20.5 million. And this is because these assets are not even valued yet. When the assets are valued, you'll be so surprised at the enormous figure that will be. That's a particular asset we recovered somewhere in Kaduna. And as at the time we are taking over the asset, we just put it on an estimated value of about 2 million. But you'll be surprised that by the time we were hearing information, the amount of billions of naira that the corrupt elements want to sell the asset for is going to baffle you. So for us, when we take over asset now, what we do? We're sure we go for valuation. We're sure we go for valuation. And that's why I catalog for you the 5 processes of asset recovery. Asset investigation, asset identification, asset recovery. And when we get to asset recovery, we have a responsibility to ensure that there's proper valuation of this asset. So we have a unit in this commission that deals squarely with asset valuation. And all asset recovered from the year 2019 to date, we value them immediately. But we're in the process of valuing what we call our legacy asset. By our legacy asset, we mean the assets that are recovered right from the year 2006, when these commissions started recovering assets on a skeletal basis, up to year 2019, when this new board took charge. We almost stopped illicit fund flow, and we must recover our assets in the hands of wrong people and ensure it come back to public fund to finance public utilities for the benefit of everyone.
Corruption can mess up every good thing a nation has. A nation is blessed with every good thing all around. If you and I care, we gonna get there. Just ask me how. It starts from you and I. Make you say no. When they give you bribe or ask you for right, make you say no. If you're there for office and tempted to steal, make you say no. We can only kill corruption and greed. They give you bribe or ask you for bribe, make you say no. If you there for office and tempted to steal, make you say no. We can only kill corruption and greed when we say no. When we say no, when we say no, when we say no.
The United Nations Convention Against Corruption, UNCAC, review mechanism which focuses on asset recovery in its second cycle of reviews for 2015 to 2020 states that asset recovery is an ideal opportunity for civil society to work with government and advocate for fair and effective asset recovery. This is a process that not only punishes corrupt agents by confiscating the proceeds of corruption, but transparently and accountably returns assets to the states from which they originally came from. That's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Remember that you can still watch all our previous editions on YouTube with the ID ICPC Nigeria. Also, you can send us your complaints and suggestions via our email address info@icpc.gov.ng or call us on 0800 call ICPC. Thank you for watching and bye for now.